Good morning, good morning. Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the stream. Today is Thursday. I hope everyone's having a great Thursday. So if you're new to the channel, I like to go live every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. to talk about a board game that's been on my mind and do a couple board game design exercises. So let me just adjust the camera. Maybe pull the mic out of the screen a little bit, and then we'll get started. So the way I segment these live streams is the goal is to have 3 videos that I can chop up and send to the YouTube page. So the first video will be talking about a game of the day. Then we'll move into the second video of taking the game of the day and adding a random game mechanic to it. And then we'll finish off the day by designing a game in 5 minutes or less. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And I look forward to hearing any comments you have in the chat. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the game Red Rising by Stonemaier Games, designed by Jamie Stegmaier and Alexander Schmidt, and published by Jamie's board game company, Stonemaier Games. So this won't be a full rules overview of the game. It'll just be talking about the parts of the game that I thoroughly enjoy and that make my brain think in a creative way. I'll link a how to play video in the comments below, or a general overview that I think is done better, so that if this game interests you, you can learn how to play and see if it's for you or not. Awesome. So the 2 things I'm going to talk about today are the board itself, as well as the cards. And so the game Red Rising is based on the Red Rising theme, or the IP of Red Rising, and this is this dystopian world where there's classism depicted in different color factions, and so they're all humanoid type characters, but they are split based on, you know, what color they were brought up into. And the red faction, or the red class, I don't remember how they refer to it in the books, is sort of like the lowest tier in the class system. And so Red Rising is all about them trying to regain their place in this society. And so explaining that general theme of it, because all of the cards are characters based in the IP of the world. And so both Michaela and I have read through the book series, so the characters are pretty cool to pull and look at, because there's a little added value of knowing the IP when playing the game. It's not necessarily like you don't have a competitive advantage in the game, but it's just that hidden kind of little extra that makes it enjoyable for us to play, because we really enjoyed reading through the series together. This game actually introduced us to the series, and we're thoroughly pleased with the fact that we got to read all 4 out of the 5 books published, and the 6th one is coming soon. And so all that rambling to say, the game is a hand management style game, and so everyone's going to be dealt out 5 cards at the start of the game, and it's all working towards building the biggest score in terms of victory points that you can get. And so each card is set up where it has a base cost that you'll score regardless. It's got this deploy ability section. Some of them have this symbol here of the end game scoring, and then they have a bonus point criteria that is shown on the bottom of if you can manipulate your hand to be a certain way, you can leverage those end game scoring, like those bonus scoring points, to build a big hand. And so if we look at someone like Carnus, he has a 15 base cost, but if you compare him with Cassius, who is his brother in the books, that's not really a spoiler, he'll gain an additional 30 points. But if he's paired with Mustang, the Jackal, or Nero, down at the bottom, he'll lose 15 points. And so from a UI standpoint, it's nice in the sense that when you're holding your hand of cards, you can still see on the side what things you're looking for, so you don't have to keep cycling your hand to remember exactly what you're looking for. And so that coupled with, so if we focus on the deployability of cards, it's probably good to lead into the general play of the game, is on the board, there are 4 essentially discard piles that you can deploy into and pick from. And then there'll also be the main deck where on the player board that the cards live. And so on your turn, you'll be choosing one of the 5 cards from your hand or more, because there's ways in this game to get additional cards. You'll be choosing one to deploy. And so when you play that down, you'll get to take the ability of its deploy action. So with Arliss, you would deploy it saying each neighboring player reveals a random card from their hand. If it's a gold, banish that card. If it's a red, banish Arliss. And so the banish mechanic is like removing it from the game. But when you play it, you'll take that action. And then after playing it, you'll choose to either draw a card from one of the 3 piles that you didn't place into, or the top of the deck. And what's cool is each discard pile has an associated bonus that you like gain when you take it. So if we look over here, this Jupiter track will move your ship up this track here. Mars will give you helium, which are a endgame scoring token. The Institute will allow you to place a cube up here, which is a little area control mechanic. And then Luna will give you the Sovereign token, and which is this nice guy here. It'll give you the Sovereign token and allow you to take your, I believe it's your family action or your house action. And so each player at the start of the game will be randomly selecting one of these tiles here, which gives you an ability for whenever you take that Luna action. So it gives a little asymmetrical power of differentiation from player to player. And so with all that explanation out of the way, I really like the idea of on your turn, you're discarding a card, then drawing a card. Or if you like what's in your hand, you're flipping the top card of the deck and deploying it somewhere, or discarding it into one of the piles. And so that's a very simple, straightforward concept to understand. You know, get rid of a card, gain a card. Get rid of a card, gain a card. But that balance of trying to figure out which cards you want to collect in your hand to discard later to take their deployability, coupled with which cards you want to keep just for the end game, is a fun puzzle to work out. Because maybe I want to get Pellis, like I want to discard Pellis to move up the fleet track, but eventually I want to gain Pellis back into my hand because her end game scoring is based off of how far you get on the fleet track. And so each card almost has that mini little thought experiment of trying to figure out how you want to use them and at what time. And so that is my favorite part of Red Rising, is just that puzzle that you're kind of pushing towards the end game. And the way the game ends is the 3 different spots that we talked about of the Institute, the fleet track, and helium. Once all of those are met by 7, meaning someone's at 7 on the fleet track, or someone has 7 influence in the Institute, or someone has 7 helium collected into their supply. Once all of those are met, that will trigger the end of the game. And so you'll finish up the round that you're on and then go into scoring. So there is agency with the players to control how long you want the game to go. Because if you're already at 7 on the helium track and you don't want to end the game, you can keep taking helium, and it forces the game to go on because maybe you're not ready to commit your hand to scoring. And so those are my favorite parts of the board game Red Rising by Stonemaier Games. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the game in the comments below. And if you like videos like this, feel free to subscribe. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I look forward to engaging with you in the comments. Hope you have a great day. Alright, video one down. I just started editing and cutting up these videos and scheduling them for rebroadcast, and I realized that I need to pause more between videos, or between stopping one video and having the side chit chat, because it gives more flexibility in when I cut the videos off. Not that that was important to anyone, just learning as I go. That's one of the benefits of watching this live, as you get to see what I learn as I learn it. All right, so we will push things off to the side, do a little cleanup. And the next video that we're going to do is we're going to take the game Red Rising and add a random game mechanic into it and try to do a quick 5-minute brainstorm of how we might fit that mechanic into Red Rising. So I'm just reshuffling stuff, and then we'll get going. I probably shouldn't have done that because that's where my mouse is. Bear with me. I'm being a dingus. All right, boom. We can pull up our first spot here. Oh, why did none of the mechanics? Oh, there we go. You can't see it because I haven't shared that screen yet, but we will do a quick snot clearing, drink some water, and then get into video number 2. All right. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to take the board game Red Rising by Stonemaier Games, and we are going to brainstorm how to add a random mechanic into that game that we don't know currently what that mechanic is. And so if you're new to the live streams or new to this type of video, I have over on here, up in the top right corner, oh God, screen share, it's no longer active. Let's try it again. Boom. All right. We can restart that. It'll be easier to edit. Plus, I had those nose itches. I don't know if anyone else has a mustache. Lovely wheel of mechanics. And we will then go do a 5-minute brainstorm process of how we might add said mechanic into Red Rising. So how this works is we will switch over to our viewpoint over here. And so we got my tablet set up in most of the screen so I can doodle and try to explain. And then the top right, we have a giant wheel of game mechanics pulled from Board Game Geek. And so I'll click the spin button and hopefully we land on a mechanic that's not already in Red Rising. And once we have a mechanic that isn't in Red Rising, we'll set a 5-minute timer on my phone and start designing, or ideating, or brainstorming, or whatever word you want to call it. And so without becoming a thesaurus, let's get started. So we've spun the wheel, and I'll pull up the phone timer while we wait for it to land. And we got area majority. Well, that already exists in the influence section of the game, so we will spin again. All right, we got the timer up, waiting for the